Hey guys, it's Brad from Team Crimson here. We are bringing you a deck profile of Chouchou Lauris, and I will go ahead and just hand it off now.
Greetings and salutations once again. This is Stephen Coy, aka Eye to Eye Royalty, going to be bringing you this here deck profile. So this deck actually took me to day 2 of the Indianapolis Regionals Autumn Circuit on its debut, and I'm very excited to be showing it to you guys today. So yes, as you heard, it is Chouchou Lauris. So bottom deck your cards, draw cards, and then use Lauris to swing with big columns. Let's get to the video. First Asanakari is our starter here. Compared to the other ones, I feel like she provides the most for you. She gives you a soul as well as a draw, and it's completely free. Love it. Now you can actually run Sasha or I can't remember the other one that lets you attack more, but I run a very, very, very draw and resource based deck, and you'll be seeing that in a moment. So I do run the Akari instead. Onto the main grade 3, Terua. Obviously play 4 of her. Stride for free if you have 1 or less rear guard at any point during your ride phase. Glorious, especially when you go first and you G-guard and you get a free stride off of that. It's gross. Every single thing you do in this deck is with the goal of hitting your opponent as many times as possible and then getting back down to 1 rear guard by the end of their turn. And for that matter, it's a very technical deck, and that's why I love it so much. Otherwise, you get to, when you stride, you counterblast, check the top card of your deck and add it to your hand, reveal it obviously, and if it's a Chouchou, you can draw another card by bottom decking one of your rear guards. So for Terua, and we do tech the 4 Lauris here. As said, she is used to make big columns. This is the new one that came out in the recent set. When she's in Harmony at GB2, she gains 5,000. This is actually really important because we're not really concerned as the game gets later on about what effects you have live, just how many times you can hit you with columns to deplete your hand or pump for free damage. And this was really, really potent throughout the tournaments that I played it in during the time that I was running it. So we do run 4 of the Lauris. Onto the grade 2s. We run 4 Blanche. Actually, I'll show this separately here. She's very important. This is a GB8 rush deck. Resource management to get to GB8 as fast as possible, and she Soul Blast to bottom deck a Chouchou and check the top 4. Grab the huge trigger if you can, otherwise grab some resources you can work with, and then she gets to 11k on her own. Really good. Obviously, you got to run 4 of her. I feel like she is an absolute staple in any manner. It's so good. I love her. Suguri is specifically there for early game rush. Again, pumping out damage as much as possible, getting columns as big as we can. When she hits, you counterblast and bottom deck. I call it ebbing and flow. Bottom deck a Chouchou card to draw a card. And the second effect is kind of cool. It doesn't really matter. +4, but if something's bottom deck, that's not really important, as I said. We do run 3 Listella instead of 4. Throughout testing, I just realized that I don't really need 4 Listella. A lot of people are running 4 because of what you can do. But resources are very important in this deck, and unless I'm not sitting on a Blanche already and I really need to get cards in my hand, I won't really use her effect. So as far as I'm concerned, she's a Chouchou card that is a free attacker for the combos that we play in the deck. So just 3 of her, maximizing how many cards I can use to pressure my opponent. For grade 1s, we run the 4 Clinez. This is our Owl. What is the Owl in Luard? You check the top 7 cards. Yes, Abyssal Owl. Check the top 7 cards of your deck on call. Grab a Terua if you can, and then discard up to grade 3 when you do after shuffling your deck. So what makes this very important is that she gives you a free shuffle no matter what. You can choose to whiff it. And since everything puts things on the bottom of the deck, you can throw triggers back to the bottom of the deck and then call this and shuffle it. Okay. The best part about this and is the fact that you can Soul Blaster, which is great when you have a starter and other cards that go into Soul, since not a lot of things do that. Soul Blaster and bottom decker to draw a card, or to counter charge, I'm sorry. And this is very important because this is one of the cards you call early game in order to get yourself back down to 1 rear guard, because she puts herself back to the bottom of the deck at the end of all of your shenanigans. So 4 of her, absolutely necessary. We play Formulaire in this because Lapria and the GB8 are really, really good, and she works the more rear guards you call in a battle phase, including simultaneously, she gets more powerful. So if you call 5 rear guards with her included, she becomes 15,000 as a booster. So casually staring at all of my 11Ks, that's 26Ks, and my Lauris as a 31K column for no reason. So 4 of her, very important for the strategy we entail here. We actually do play 2 Imperator Tier Subaru, only 2 because she only works with Lauris. You're drawing enough cards in deck where you almost always have the combo available. She gives Lauris resist. So now you have a giant 31K column with resist. Get out of here. So, but we only need 2. She's not a Chouchou, doesn't really do anything else for the deck. Just make it so Lauris is extremely hard to stop from applying pressure by giving her resist. Ooh. We do run 4 of the Flipper Perfect Guards because I am not counterblasting the deck that needs every counterblast it can get. Like, that's not happening. So we do run 4 Kukuri. The counter charge is really good. That's obviously what makes her really playable in this deck. So going on to the triggers, we actually, I consider this to be a little more standard, but we do run 8 crit, 4 of her. I use her effect only if I've taken a lot of damage early on because it is a free draw, it is a free soul, and you're not particularly concerned about the counterblast because she combos exceptionally well with Clinez. She gives you herself as soul for fodder for her to countercharge when you get done, so it's completely free and you draw a card and you can superior call a card with +5. Okay. So we are running 4 of that and 8 crit total. Pite, draw triggers, again trying to get as many cards as possible. I love that it's in soul +3, so if you're in a really big bind, you really need that soul, that's an option for you. And then 4 heal. I wish that I could use the heal that has the discard draw, but in this case we need something to be able to search off of Blanche, and it's very important to get this in hand as fast as possible. So we do run for that. 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, G-zone time. Now for the part that I love. Going in, we have Lapria opening up. This card is actually busted. It's really busted. First stride, it allows you to return, return 2 cards per card face up in the G-zone after persona flipping and counterblasting on attack. Then draw equal to the number of cards you put back to the deck, +1 if you're sitting on Tarua. So, what? You draw 3 cards, you turn triggers on your first stride into free draw, or if you want to keep triggers, you just turn blank grade 3s because you're striding for free, so you don't need them, into more cards. You drop yourself down to 1 rear guard. And then if you have the audacity to be sitting on 2 or more cards in G-Zone after you resolve with this effect, when you draw 4 more cards, you flood the board with up to 5 cards from your hand for a second round of attacks. So many times this turns into a gross like GB8 without the 5,000 power on first stride if I G-guarded, or second stride plus. Are you kidding me? This card is secretly busted, and I really hope that you guys understand how dumb that is. So 4 Lapria is an absolute necessity. That's not even a joke. This character, we run 2 of this character. Remember when this was a staple in every Bermuda Triangle deck? Not this one. We go into this card so much, and I kid you not, in the entire duration of all 10 rounds of my tournament, never stroked this. Never did. I never did. So often we go into GB8, we sit on Lapria, and if the game's not done by then we have our friend Anj. Beautiful Anj. Why? Why did they print these cards? Why can I return my entire opponent's field to the hand, including locked cards? I suggest you check out what this card does. This is very good for the Link Joker matchup. Otherwise, it would be a very difficult matchup to face up against, as well as Mega Colony and other cards that make it decks that make it difficult for you to work around rear guards that they're preventing you from having on board. Check out what it does. It has a very long effect, and it's not particularly important for the deck. But if you guys don't already know what it is, check it out. We do play this. Believe it or not, we play the Little Nell. I play one of these for decks that, this is similar to when I'm playing against decks that don't want to take damage. Like, I'm not trying to deal damage early on. This 1v set against Nightmare Dolls, they like to have a lot of counterblasts, and I'm swinging at rear guards and only swinging with Vanguards and holding cards in hand. Then I drop Little Nell, and they're like, I need that damage. So I'm like, cool. When it hits, you bottom deck a Chouchou, draw 2 cards. Sure, I'll take that advantage. I mean, if you need that damage, I'll take the advantage. Pass the crit somewhere else. I do not care. 1 damage for a bunch of cards in hand. That's phenomenal. It becomes very hard to defeat this deck as the game progresses. And then when you finally get to the climax and finale. Because every single time I've gone into the second GB8, if I've ever needed to, I've always won, and it's not a joke. I'm not saying that to be cocky. Like I've not had a game where I've gone into the second GB8 and not depleted enough resources from my opponent to have that card get the win for me. At the end of the battle that this unit attacks, discard, bounce everything to the hand, basically stand them, and give them all +5. So awesome! I like having Lapria or Lauris is sitting at 41,000, and when your opponent's at 5 damage and has nothing left because you just got done doing this the last times you strolled Lapria. This is so great. I love this deck. Yes, we do play 2 of her. Oftentimes, one of them is not enough because she isn't implying crit or doing anything crazy like that. So the first one beats down the opponent's hand until we need to get to the second one, and then that usually gets the game. So I'll run to that. And I believe we have the Sabreeze. On to G-Guards. This is another kind of important. We do run 2 Sparkle Sandies. This card is stupid busted as well. Gets plus 5,000 shield for every pair of cards in your hand, every 2 cards. And this deck very comfortably sits on 10 cards, like average. I've had turns where, because Lapria is getting you like if you're resolving it properly, I can get 8 cards after drive check, like to my hand, and then have an empty field, like after swinging at my opponent for a bunch of attacks. So then you drop Sandy on like their Vanguard swing, and it's like, oh cool, my Sandy's at 60,000 shield. And if you're in a clutch and you need to counterblast, you can give yourself an additional 5,000. It also flips, which is important for GB8. Pretty straightforward. We run 2 of those. We run hand in hand Leona. Oh, so happy when I got this. That is so beautiful. This is generally our first G guard. When we are going first, we also have the Platy. I'm showing them together. They both have the same purpose of reducing your rear guards from 2 to 1, usually keeping only your starter on board, and that's very important. This one Soul Blast, the bottom deck is Chouchou to draw a card, and this one pushes up the rear guard to guard with a +5 shield. And outside of that, I play these specifically for the idea that I want to make sure I have a full board, and then I can still return cards to my deck or remove them from the board, so I can free stride after having done that the next turn. So that'll do it. That is the Chouchou Lauris deck, and I hope that you guys enjoy that deck. Take it easy.
All right, guys. Team Crimson signing off, and just remember to please like and subscribe. We'll see you later.